I'm Alyssa Dunn, 26 years old, and for the past 3 years, I've been raising my sister's 4 children like they're my own. When my bakery business collapsed, I had no savings left and no stability, so I moved in with my sister Cheryl hoping to rebuild my life. But instead of starting fresh, I became the unpaid nanny in her chaotic household. Every day began before sunrise and ended long after midnight, and almost none of it was about me. My dreams felt like distant memories. Most mornings started with my 5:30 a.m. alarm. I dragged myself out of bed, already exhausted, to get the kids ready for school. Logan, the oldest at 15, always argued with 12-year-old Ellie over tiny things, like who ate the last Pop-Tart. Hunter, 9, usually spilled something, and Nora, 6, clung to me for attention before I even had a sip of coffee. The house was a storm every morning, and I was always the one trying to calm it. The drive to school wasn't any calmer. Logan blasted loud music, Ellie complained about her math homework, Hunter asked non-stop questions about dinosaurs, and Nora sang loudly and off-key. By the time I dropped them off, my head was already pounding. Then I'd rush straight to my job at the coffee shop for a 6-hour shift, steaming milk and smiling through rude customers. The pay barely covered my phone bill and gas, but it was the only income one had. After work, I picked the kids up again, helped them with homework, cooked dinner, cleaned, and put them to bed while Cheryl either slept or left for her night shift at the supermarket with her boyfriend Blake. I'd see her maybe 10 minutes a day, just long enough for her to mumble a quick, thanks, before disappearing again. Nights were supposed to be my time for online graphic design classes, but I could hardly keep my eyes open. More than once, I fell asleep mid-lesson with my laptop dying beside me. The kids weren't the problem. Logan's sarcastic humor, Ellie's shy smiles, Hunter's curiosity, and Nora's sweet clinginess, they were like my own. But loving them didn't change the fact that I was drowning under responsibilities that weren't mine. I paid for school supplies, doctor visits, inhalers for Nora's asthma, dance recitals, soccer practices, all from the last $3,000 left for my bakery. Cheryl contributed only when she had extra, and Blake acted like helping wasn't his job at all. One night, talking to my best friend Tara, everything spilled out. I told her how I was barely hanging on and falling behind in my classes. She didn't sugarcoat anything. "You're not their mom, Alyssa. You can't give up your entire life for this." Her words hit hard. I knew she was right, but saying it out loud hurt. A week later, everything changed. I was folding laundry when Cheryl burst in with a grin I hadn't seen in months. Blake followed, carrying a pizza box like it was a celebration. "We've got news," she said, pulling me to the couch. "I'm pregnant. 5th kid." My stomach twisted. I forced a smile, but inside I was spiraling. I was already overworked, exhausted, broke, and they were bringing another child into the chaos. But the real bombshell dropped during dinner. Cheryl looked straight at me and said, "You're so good with the kids. We need you to step up more. Maybe quit the coffee shop so you can take care of them full-time." I froze. "Quit my job?" I repeated, unsure if I heard correctly. Blake shrugged casually. "Yeah, we're swamped at work. And with the baby coming, we can't handle everything. Plus," he exchanged a look with Cheryl, "you should chip in $300 a month for rent. It's only fair." My heart pounded. I was barely managing my bills, doing everything in the house, helping raise 4 kids, and they wanted me to pay them? I stood up, the chair scraping the floor. "I'm already doing everything. School runs, homework, cooking, cleaning. I can't quit my job." Cheryl's expression hardened. "You're living here. You owe us." I walked out before I exploded. The next morning, I called Tara again, shaking with anger. "They want me to quit and pay them rent," I said. "They're treating me like their maid." It was the moment everything clicked. I was losing myself and my future, and no one cared, not Cheryl, not Blake. Over the following days, Cheryl kept pushing, handing me lists of chores and appointments like I was hired help. Blake suggested I sell my old bakery equipment to contribute more. Every demand tightened the cage around me. That's when I realized, if I didn't leave now, I would never escape. The pressure inside Cheryl's house kept building until it became impossible to breathe. Every day felt like a reminder that I didn't belong there, Not as their maid, not as their parent, not as their financial backup. I needed to reclaim my life before it disappeared completely. That thought stayed with me as I quietly began searching for a place of my own. One evening, after putting Nora to bed and helping Ellie with her algebra homework, I finally opened my laptop. While the house slept around me, I browsed rental listings in Madison. Prices were high, too high for someone working 30 hours a week at a coffee shop. But I kept searching until I found a few tiny studios around $1,500 a month. If I used my last $3,000 from the bakery to pay the deposit and first month's rent, and cut my spending to the bone, I could survive. Barely, but still survive. The next morning, while Cheryl slept through her alarm, I told Logan about my plan. He sat on the edge of the couch, silent, picking at a loose thread on his hoodie. "You're leaving because of Mom, right?" he said quietly. I exhaled. "I'm leaving because I need a life too. But I'm not abandoning you guys. I'll still be around. Just differently." Logan nodded, trying to act like he didn't care, but the tension in his jaw gave him away. I knew this wasn't easy for him. None of this was easy. Over the next few days, I started preparing the kids without making it obvious. I taught Logan how to wash clothes properly and how to make simple meals without burning the kitchen down. I showed Ellie how to plan homework schedules and help Hunter with his projects. Nora didn't understand much, but I reassured her gently whenever she asked why I seemed busy. Then, without telling Cheryl, I visited the apartments. The first unit was tiny, one room with a slanted ceiling and a kitchenette that looked older than me, but I felt something in that space. Freedom. I visited 3 more places, crunching numbers in my head. If I kept my job, paused my design classes for a month, and lived frugally, I could make it work. Tara was my constant supporter. She called one afternoon while I was cleaning the kitchen. "You're taking control," she said. "Just make sure you don't let Cheryl drag you back." "I won't," I told her, even though a small part of me still feared I might. The kids' reactions were the hardest part. Ellie cried when she overheard Logan and me talking. Hunter asked who would help him with his science fair. Nora begged me not to move too far away. I held all of them close and tried to explain that I wasn't leaving them, just choosing myself for once. Finally, I signed the lease. 3 days after moving into my tiny studio, which had only a mattress and a desk, I felt a peace I hadn't felt in years. I arranged my sketchbook, my laptop, and a few personal items. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I sent a group text to the kids promising a pizza night soon. I didn't text Cheryl. She hadn't spoken to me since she found out I moved out, a cold, punishing silence that honestly felt like relief. But the peace didn't last. One morning, my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. When I answered, a calm voice said, "This is Officer Doyle from Madison Police Department. We need you to meet us at your sister's address. There's been a complaint." My blood went cold. I drove over, heart pounding the whole way. When I pulled up, I saw 2 officers in front of the house. Cheryl stood on the porch, red-faced, pointing at me like she had been waiting to attack. "She stole $500 from me," Cheryl shouted, "and she trashed the house before she left." I stared at her, stunned. "What? I didn't take anything." Officer Doyle looked at me. "We'll need to check inside." Cheryl led them in, dramatically pointing at a ripped sofa cushion and a washing machine that wouldn't start. "She did all this before moving out," she insisted. But Officer Reed bent down to inspect the sofa and said, "These stains look old." He checked the washing machine. Loose wire. Could be normal wear. Before Cheryl could argue, Logan appeared in the hallway, tense but determined. "Officer," he said, "my mom is lying. The sofa was torn months ago, and the washing machine broke weeks before Alyssa even moved out. Mom spent the missing money on groceries. She just forgot." "Logan!" Cheryl yelled, but her voice cracked. Officer Doyle folded his clipboard. "Ma'am, we cannot act on false reports. Don't call us unless it's real." The officers left, and Cheryl stormed inside. I turned to Logan. "You didn't have to do that." He shrugged. "You didn't deserve it." When I returned to my studio that night, shaking from the confrontation, Tara called. She's losing control because you stopped letting her control you, Tara said. Stay away from her. I knew she was right. But for better or worse, the story wasn't over. After the police incident, I thought Cheryl would finally leave me alone, but trouble came faster than I expected. 2 weeks later, Logan called me late at night. His voice was shaky. Mom's in the hospital, he said. The baby, something's wrong. My heart dropped. No matter what Cheryl had done, the kids didn't deserve this fear. I drove to the hospital immediately. A doctor explained Cheryl had placenta previa and needed strict bed rest until her due date. 3 months. Cheryl looked pale and exhausted when I entered her room. The kids need you, she whispered, avoiding my eyes. I stood there, torn between the past and the helpless faces of her children. I'll help, I finally said, but on my terms. I keep my apartment, my job, and I'm not paying you anything. I help for 3 months, for the kids, not for you. She nodded weakly. For the first time, Cheryl had no argument left in her. Back at the house, chaos had taken over. Dishes piled high, laundry everywhere, homework undone. Blake was nowhere. He'd vanished into extra shifts that everyone knew were excuses. The kids clung to me the moment I walked in. Ellie's voice trembled when she asked if her mom would be okay. Nora begged me not to leave her alone at night. Hunter wanted reassurance after reassurance. Logan tried to act tough, but his eyes were red. I created a system immediately. Logan handled laundry and some cleaning. Ellie helped with dishes. Hunter and Nora did simple chores. I wasn't doing everything like before. I was teaching them how to function without me. I visited daily after work, cooked dinner, checked homework, and made sure everyone was stable before returning to my studio each night. One night, while I was helping Hunter with math, Tara called. You're doing too much again, she warned. I'm doing it for the kids, I said quietly. Just until Cheryl's back. Just make sure she doesn't trap you again, Tara replied. She was right to worry. Blake barely showed up, and when he did, he was useless. Drinking beer, muttering excuses, ignoring the kids completely. Nora cried when he forgot her school play. Ellie grew more anxious. Logan became angrier by the day. Still, I stayed strong. I wasn't falling back into the same cycle. I wasn't living there. I wasn't sacrificing my future. I was just a temporary support. After 3 months of stress and survival, Cheryl was discharged with her newborn son. I helped carry the car seat inside, but as soon as we stepped into the kitchen, I stopped. I'm done, I said firmly. I helped like I promised. But I can't live this life anymore. Cheryl glared at me. You're abandoning us again. I shook my head. I gave you years. Now I'm giving myself a chance. I walked out without looking back. But leaving the house didn't mean leaving the kids. They needed stability more than ever. Cheryl was overwhelmed with a newborn and had no job. Blake left shortly after the baby arrived. Bills piled up. The house fell deeper into chaos. I called Tara, my one true friend, and asked a big favor. Can you be their lifeline? Check on them? Bring snacks, help Ellie with homework, be someone they can count on. Without a second thought, she agreed. I started sending Tara $50 a month, the little I could spare, to buy school supplies and food for the kids. I stayed in their lives through video calls. Logan texted me about school. I helped him with algebra. Ellie sent drawings. Hunter showed me his science projects on camera. Nora begged for bedtime stories over the phone. It wasn't the same as living with them, but it was healthier, for them and for me. Meanwhile, I rebuilt my life from scratch. I sharpened my design skills, finished my classes, and started freelancing. My first real client paid me $500 for a branding package, and I nearly cried from relief. Soon, I landed steady work, logo designs, website layouts, marketing graphics. I quit the coffee shop and focused on my own business full-time. My small studio transformed. Mood boards covered the walls. Sketches stacked on my desk. Clients emailed asking for revisions. For the first time in years, I felt proud. I was building something that was mine. One night, Logan texted me, Mom's struggling. But thanks for helping us. We're trying. I stared at the message for a long time. I wished I could fix everything for them, but I also knew I couldn't go back. I had finally escaped the life that was suffocating me. The kids were growing stronger. Tara was nearby. Cheryl was facing the reality she had avoided for years. And I was becoming the person I dreamed of being before everything fell apart. In my tiny studio, surrounded by sketches and hope, I realized something. I saved myself, and because of that, I could finally be there for the kids in a healthier way. Not as a substitute parent. Not as a prisoner of obligation. But as someone who cared, from a place of freedom. And that was enough.